Hey there everyone, welcome to the series Connecting Ansys and SQL the Ironpython way. In today's video, we will be connecting SQL Server with Ansys. So right now I have already set up my server and I have a database called as the dev database, and the schema is default DBO, and that the sample table is a test table on which we will be showing the demo. So let's get my whiteboard and I will just explain what are the generic things that you need to connect any Ironpython application, or let's say Ansys with SQL Server. So today's video will be mostly specific to SQL Server. In the next video, we will see MySQL, and then in subsequent video, we will be looking at postgreSQL. So let's get started. So you need some common things to connect to any relational database management system. So RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So first thing you need is you need a connection string. So in connection string, you will be writing what is your server name and what is your database, what is your username, and what is your password. So these are the common connection string. From the connection string, you will be creating a connection which will be authenticating to the connection via the connection string and doing all those connections from the and then after that you need a SQL command object. In the SQL command object, you will be sending a query. So query are usually of two types. One is execute query, and another one is execute non-query. So it is execute non-query. So execute query is usually when you are you want to get some data, like fetch data, and this is like you are just sending a query or sending a data. You don't want any output from that execution. So this will be like insert operation. So you don't want any output from there. Maybe if the insert is successful, you might get a true or else false. Insert, delete, update, and here you will be getting mostly the select, means you are getting an output from there. So let's start with our okay. So before I go ahead and show you that, I want to explain one more thing. We saw few things here like connection string, connection, SQL command, and query. So there are few ways. Usually I know three ways in which you can connect all these dots, and I will show you which one I like the most. So let me just keep it here and show you what are the different ways you can connect this. So let me write A, B, C, D. A is common for all the methods. Now for and B is also common. So like A and B are common, and after that we will see how we will create. So first method, what happens is you create a connection from the connection string. I will write const string. So from connection string, you will create a command, and then in this command you will pass a query. So and then query will be like execute query or execute non-query. In second method, what you will do is you will create a connection same as before, and then you will create a command separately, and then you will pass this connection string in this command, and from command again you will create a query. Okay, so here you created a connection, from connection you created a command, but here you created a command, and within the command class you are passing this connection and then creating the query. In third method, which I prefer the most because it is the shortest one, in this what happens is you create a command and then you pass both connection and the query. So this is pretty easy. It finishes in one line. So I will show you all the three methods, and this is the preferred one, which I like the most because it is very short. And then we will use the same in MySQL, in all the RDBMS system like SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgre. Okay, so let me go to my VS Code. So here I am in VS Code, and you can see a couple of things which I have already imported, and I will show you that these things may not exist in your project because I have saved my credentials, like what is my password, username, everywhere, everything in some file. So this is common for me, but not for everyone. I just don't want to highlight those. So this is these are not specific to any project. These are my credentials here. List, everything is common for you. For example, as you know, we are working on Ironpython, and the version that Ansys targets is 2.7.4. So for that, you need to import a CLR, because we are not going to install any Python libraries or Ironpython libraries. Then within CLR, we are calling a different namespace, which is system.data. This is Windows default .NET framework namespace. So you don't have to add any assembly. I will show you that assembly part in MySQL and PostgreSQL, because it doesn't belong to Microsoft. So we have to import some library from outside, but we don't have to install it, just import. And then within the system data, as I said, you need a connection string. I mean the connection. So connection will be coming from SQL client, and connection state is optional. For example, if you want to know whether connection was successful or not, all those things. Now, four things you need for a connection string, which is server, database, user, and password. And connection string varies from different server system. There are a lot of connection strings available, but I like one of the best one. I will just show you. Just go to this website connectionstrings.com. You will see lot of systems or server where you can connect, and each has their own connection string. So right today, in today's video, we are looking at SQL Server. Just click on SQL Server, and then you can click on this. We are going through the .NET library SQL client and SQL Server, and let's see. Yeah, so here we are. So it has this is actually your string, so you can just copy and paste it here, like copy and paste it in your, like I will just type as connection string is equal to, in quotes, I will send this. That's all. So I have my connection string, which is same as this one. I will just copy it here. So this is my connection string. So I have format string form. I'm using string formatting. So in server, I'm sending the server name, database name, username, password. Integrated security, these are just additional layer of security. And connection timeout, what happens is this might be useful in many of your cases, because many times what happens is your server is actually situated far away from your location. So within 10 seconds, the connection might not be established, and this will fail. So usually what people do is they make it 60 seconds or 30 seconds. So this is very useful in that case. If the connection doesn't establish within 30 seconds, then uh, it will fail. And then we will have query. So as I showed you that this is my server and this is my table name. So I have a query which says select star from DBO test table. So this is my schema, and database is already here, which is my DevDB. Instead of this, I can just show you like DevDB. I can write this also, no problem. And then once I have the query, then let's go to the whiteboard. So we are looking at first method, so in which we are creating a connection string first, and the command, and command from the connection string and the query. So what I will have is, I will just copy it from my text notebook, and I will explain it one by one. So okay, so we have this connection created. Okay, so this was our A, which in this whiteboard, which is our, I mean, not a B. This is A, and this is B, which is our connection. This is connection string. So from we are actually creating the connection string from the SQL client, which is default class within the system data assembly. System data, yeah, assembly. We have the namespace and then assembly. Okay, in that we are creating a connection string from this string which we defined, and we are establishing a connection. And in connection, from the connection, we are again creating a command. So this is our SQL command. From SQL command, as I showed, we are creating one more query. So which is this command text, and this is inbuilt property. So from this, and we are passing this query, which is select star from this. So I have put this into try except block. And remember, if you're doing connection.open, you need to close that as well. Otherwise, next operation will not happen. Either it is happening during failure or even a success, you need to close it at the end. So first thing, when I enter into a try block, first I open my connection, and then I am executing. So as I said, there are two types of reader. One is execute query, this one is execute query. first we are looking, I will show you all three methods from execute query, and in the third method I will do the execute null query. So we are doing execute query now. In execute query, you are actually trying to get some data. Now when you read that, you don't get that table, I mean you actually get a table object. So reader is our table object. So when you execute a select statement, you are actually getting a table. For example, if I go to some, I'm into this new script, so I'm in the dev db. So when I type select star from dbo.test table, and if I run this, you will see it's actually returning a table which has a column id, name. Id is of type int and name is of type varchar. So I have 4 rows here. We will try to insert, delete, and also select. So first we are doing a select. So in this, we are doing a select statement as a query select star, and then you are getting a table object. Now when you do some operation, you need to check whether the table actually has some rows or not. So if you do reader dot has rows, then you will get, means if it is true you will get 1, if it is false you will get 0. So to know what it is has rows, so you can go to this connection execute reader, and within that property, within the .NET framework, like I will just type .NET framework has rows, you will get that. So see, data table reader has rows property, and if you see, you will get true if it contains one or more rows, otherwise false. So true is 1, false is 0. So what I will do is I will comment these things first. I will go one by one. First I will show what is has rows and what is I mean what happens if there is no rows. So this happens, let's say right now we will print whether it has rows or not. Once it is done, I will close the connection. In case it fails, in case it fails to read, suppose you are passing a test table which does not exist, and in that case it will be a failure. You cannot do a run statement. Rather it fails, you go to the exception and it will show that what is the error, and then you have to close it. Otherwise, even if you don't close in except clause, next connection cannot happen. Now I think this is from the next command. Sorry. Yeah, so we are good now. So let's execute it. What I will do is I will just go here and I will run this Python file. So you will see it is returning true. Let's say I am sending a table name which does not exist, okay? Or let's say no, does not exist means it will be a failure. But here I will type like I have 4 IDs, 4 ID here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get a value whose ID is 5. So at that time I will not get a value. That table object should not have any row. So I will write where table ID, where ID is equal to 5. And if I run this, and you will see it should return false. So yes, it is false. So this is one way to check whether the table object has any rows or not. Now table object work is done. Let's see what is this field count. These things are useful, that's why I have noted it down. But if you go to the table reader object and if you click on data table reader, you have lot of properties like this one. So we are looking at, we have seen has rows. It is, you have field count also. You can see whether the table reader connection is closed or not. What is the, and item is like you're trying to get actual value of it. So I will come to this part next. Okay, so right now we are having field count. Field count means how many columns it has. So my table has 2 columns, and then you should get two count. So if I run this, then I should get 2. So I got 2 here. Okay, so this is about field count. This is one way to check, like if you're doing a loop and trying to get all the column values, then you can use this. Next is our important thing. Yeah, here we are. So there are 2 ways to access the column values of each rows. First is we need to do reader dot read. Okay, now reader dot read is actually a pointer. So first, when you run only once, you get at the first row, then second row, then you need to run once again, then you will get the second row, then again third row. How many rows you are fetching, you have to run that. But if you do a while loop, it means that the till the time there are, it is giving an output or the pointer is going on. For example, I will just show it here. So for example, I have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I do first time reader.read, it comes here. Then once it reads, it comes here, comes here, comes here. Next time when you read, you will get error. Okay, so you have to run 4 times. But when you do while, what happens is it automatically goes one by one, and when fourth at the last, when it does not get any value, it will come out. So that's the reason we use while. Or else you can do read.read also. But suppose you want to get 4 rows, you have to run this 4 times. But you don't know how many rows are there. Maybe you can count what is the how many rows are there in that row. I think for number of rows, you will get something like somewhere it should be there. I will get to that. Get row count or something should be there. So you can just search row or something. You will get those values. And then there are two ways to get the column value. First is you pass the column name, which is ID and name, which is right now which I am doing. If I run this, so you will get only 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe yes, you should be getting 1, 2, 3, 4. While reader.read didn't give any value. I think column name. Okay, so I was having this. It's not giving any output. That's the reason. I will run once again. Yeah, we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if I instead of ID, if I search name, then I should be getting AABBCCDD. Yes, we got that. Let me clear the screen. And then instead of print.name, what I can do is I can pass the index name, index number. For example, 0 is 0th index is ID and first index is name. So if I run this, I should get 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I run reader of 1 first index, I should get the names. Yes, we got. And then this is all about doing a select statement, which is like select statement. You are fetching some data, and now we will see how. No, instead of that, we need to see the second method as well. In second method, so connection is common. After connection also we are creating from command, as I said before. So we are actually creating a connection, but uh, from the connection string we are actually doing command. So this our code will look something like this. Okay, so here we are not creating connection first. We are actually creating a command, and in that command we are adding a connection. And I think connection, which is common for all. Yeah, so this is common for all. And first we are creating a SQL command. SQL command also exists within the SQL client class. In that, from the command, we are again creating a connection, and we are adding that connection which we created, and then we are sending this command. Next, whatever you have seen is very much common. So I will comment it out and I will run this. So I should get 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we got. So this looks good. And the third method, which I like the most, is this one. So connection is common for all. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Here we are actually passing both the connection query in one go. So remember, first one is query, second one is connection. If you want to know more, just search this SQL command in .NET, and then you will get search SQL command class. And then if you go to constructor, you should get it. Yes, so you need to look at constructor whenever you are creating something new. So you will see SQL command. There are a lot of ways. First one, second method we saw, we are passing a string, right? In SQL command, we are passing this connection. We are not going to use that. We are going to use this one where we send two things. So first one is string. So string means our connection string. Then we are passing the connection. So this is the one which we are doing now. So you will see command text is actually our query, and connection is the SQL connection. And then pretty much all others remains the same. This block of code which I created, like for an output, it's the same thing. So if I do that, I should get 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are good. Now we have completed execute query, and then we will do this one, execute non-query, right? In execute query, we will do first, we will insert it and delete it, and then we will update it. So let's go back and copy the code from here. So this is the script which I have written before. So now we are not doing query, we are actually doing a non-query. Let me hide it. We will do insert into dbo.table and id, not id comma name values 5 comma ee. Okay, so let me explain once again. Query is actually our non-query. We have this connection which is common for all, and then we have the non-query. The reason I'm calling it as non-query because we are not fetching any data, we are just trying to insert, update, or delete. So we have this insert anyway into the table, and we have 4 rows here, 1 2 3 4. We are going to add the 5th one, which is ee doesn't exist. Yeah, that's right. And then everything is the same. Here we are not getting any output, we are just executing the query, no printing, nothing. So let's run this and see if 5 is getting inserted or not. So if I run this, I got some error. Table, it does not exist. It's not table, it's actually test table. So this kind of errors you will be getting. This is from this print statement. So I will clear this screen and I will run once again. You see there is no error. If I refresh it once again, and you will see 5 has been inserted. Now let's delete it. For delete, you can do delete from table dbo.test table where id is equal to 5. If I run this, then this 5 should be deleted. And let me run it once. Yeah, no error. I will refresh it here. You will see 5 is deleted. Let's do one thing. In 4, let's update the value to dd. And what will happen is update it dbo.test table set name is equal to, it will be dd where id is equal to 4. Okay, so what I am doing is I am updating the test table and set the value to dd, let's say dd new, dd new where id is equal to 4. So this value should be updated to this one. Okay, so let me run it. No error. Let me refresh it and you will see this value is updated. So these were a couple of ways you can copy this and run the same thing in Ansys and it will work the same. I have this Ansys already open. I will paste it, and here instead of dd I will say running from Ansys. Okay, let me check what is the limit for this test table column. I have, I think, varchar 10, so everything cannot go, it will give an error. So what I will do is I will just type Ansys from Ansys. Okay, so 4 and 5, 9 characters. Yeah, we are good. So let me run it and let's see if there is any errors or not. Okay, I entered I clicked the wrong window. So I should be run script executed, and I don't see any error. Let me go back here to the data or the select statement and I will press run, and you will see from Ansys. So, and you can do the insert statement, even you can do the select statement. And one quick example is, for example, I am applying a force here of 1 Newton. I will get a deformation. Maybe I will capture the maximum value and pass into the SQL server. So in that table, you will have the force value as one column and the maximum value. So you can do for this force, this much is the value, or you can have all the force listed, like row number 1 will be one force, row number 2 will be another force, and it will run over all those SQL queries. It will fetch the data and then it will run the function of doing the analysis and then updating the SQL server with the result. So it will run through all the inputs and then capture all the outputs. So these were a couple of ways, and I hope you like this video, and if you have any feedback, please let me know in the comment section, and see you soon in next video where we will be looking at MySQL. See you soon.